The meeting is called to order. Good evening, Cerrito residents and a member of our community. I call to order the June 27th regular meeting of the City Council and the Success Agency. This evening, the invocation will be led by, who do we have? Who was it, Mayor, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. We will have our Sheriff's Station Chaplain, Mike Ballantyne.
Okay.
God has a real sense of humor, but where's the debate? Oh, never mind. Just kidding. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just come before you tonight with grateful hearts for the opportunity to serve our community. We ask for your guidance and wisdom as we gather here to manage matters that impact the lives of those we represent. Grant us the clarity of mind and purpose so that our decisions may reflect fairness, justice, and for the greater good. Help us to set aside our differences and work together in unity and harmony, always keeping in mind the welfare of our citizens. Bless each council member, our city staff, and all those present here tonight. May we be inspired by your love and compassion to act with integrity and humility in all we do. We ask your protection and blessings upon our city. May it thrive in peace, prosperity, and in well-being. Guide us to be wise stewards of the resources and responsibilities entrusted to us. In your holy name, amen.
Thank you. Councilwoman Johnson, would you please lead us to pledge?
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Next we have is the roll call. Madam Clerk, would you please call a roll call?
Council and Agency Member Barrows.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Johnson.
Present.
Council and Agency Member Yokoyama.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Vo.
Present.
Mayor and Chair Solanki.
Present. Thank you. Next we have is the presentation. Tonight we have the business spotlight infographic system. The City of Cerritos showcase a local business every month to foster pride in Cerritos' thriving business community and strong local economy. A proclamation will be presented to Instagraphic system for being selected as a part of City's Business Spotlight Recognition Program. Instagraphic system is an industry leader in the manufacturing of custom heat transfer and heat press machinery for apparel industry. For over 60 years, Instagraphic system has led the development of technology and durable projects in the heat press and the transfer markets to improve performance of effective of their machines to meet customer needs. Instagraphic system sells variety of heat transfer product, including manual heat transfer with superior pressure and temperature distribution and allows to consistent quality and faster production. Instagraphic systems client includes major apparel company in sports, fashion, and retail industry in over 120 countries. In 2019, Instagraphic system received 2 Product of the Year award from the Specialty Graphic Image Associate and in acclaimed by various industry groups, including the California Fashion Association. Additionally, in 2000, Instagraphic system received the President's E Award, receiving recognition by the United States Secretary of Commerce as a company that has made outstanding contribution to United States export expansion. Instagraphic system has operated in Cerritos over 34 years. Instagraphic system is located at 13925 East 166th Street, Cerritos, California 90703. Their phone numbers is 800-421-6971 and their website is www.instagraphic.com. instagraph.com. With that, I will call them to the for the proclamation. Congratulations, is a proclamation. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Mayor Solanki. Our company, Instagraphic Systems, is located in the industrial park in Cerritos, and we've been there since 1978. We may not have put Cerritos on the map, but we've certainly helped Cerritos get recognized. We printed the shirts for the Dodgers when they won the World Series. Every news station showed up at our factory here in Cerritos and filmed how we get the shirts out to the fans overnight. Well, and behold, as many of you know, Ali Solomon was from Egypt, and he always told me his family never believed that Cerritos was a real place. So they called him up after they saw me on CNN and said, Ali, we finally believe you. Cerritos is a real city. So last week, we just finished printing many logos and flags for the Olympic athletes in Paris. And though we won't be there, our product, made in Cerritos, will be on many of the athletes. Yes, so we're very proud of that. So I just want to thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor Solanki, for this recognition.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to call my council colleagues photo, and also we have Assemblywoman's recognition too, which Linda Johnson will present you too.
Great, thank you.
Hi, this is a certificate. I'm on behalf of Assemblymember Sharon Quirk Silva. She would like to give you this proclamation recognizing Instagraphic Systems. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for sharing that story. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, council colleagues, the photo. Come on down. Good, that's good.
You started the city or I moved into the city.
Okay.
All right, everybody, ready? 1, 2, 3. Do another 1, 2, 3, and one more 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
There you go, congratulations.
Thank you.
Next we have is the review and consideration of appointments, removal, and filling of the unscheduled vacancy in the Cerrito Advisory Board. Madam Clerk, do we have any appointments?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight, we have one unscheduled vacancy to be filled on the Parks and Recreation Commission, and the nominator is Mayor Pro Tem Vo. And at this point, I will turn it over to him. Once he makes his nomination, and as if it's affirmed by the City Council, we will need to take public comments prior to the final vote, and then we will invite the nominee, if appointed, for the oath of office ceremony. And
Thank
that
you.
concludes my report.
Thank you, Vida, and thank you, Council, for allowing me to introduce you to my new Parks and Recs appointee. My last appointee, she got promoted into an area where she needed to attend meetings at a school district on Thursdays, and that's when the Parks and Recs meetings were held, so she unfortunately had to step down to further her career. But in the meantime, we have been doing the search, and we were lucky enough to receive some interest from a resident in the community. His name is Steve Lin, and Steve has come to me and had expressed interest in serving in the city and providing me with a great resume. Steve has lived in the city of Cerritos since March of 1997, where he raised his family in the city of Cerritos. He recently just joined the senior center and participated in dancing class and table tennis, which is great activities there. And all his kids went through Cerritos schools and graduated from our local schools and moved on to be a great contribution to the local communities where they live. And with that, I'd like to ask Steve to come up Actually, no, wait, no, we're a little early. I guess so. I'm like excited. With that, I'll ask my council colleagues to hopefully approve and certify his appointee, and then that'll be my motion.
Second.
Okay.
Gotta
There
open
is a
public
motion and a second on the floor, and I believe the electronic voting is activated.
public
Oh, I'm
comments.
sorry.
Public
Got that back. We
comments.
will need to open public comments.
Mayor Monica Ballantine has registered to speak.
And I believe that it's on item number
Six,
6.
I
This will be
believe.
on item number 5. Oh,
Are you on item 5 or 6?
I think you're probably 6.
Okay.
What
You're
about-
on
I don't
6, so wait, next item.
but
So-
we called you up a little bit early. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so there's no public comment, so we'll close the public comment, bring it back for the council for action. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll call?
Yes, Council and Agency Member Barrows,
Aye.
Council and Agency Member Johnson,
Aye.
Council and Agency Member Yokoyama,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Vo,
Aye.
Mayor and Chair Solanki,
Aye.
and the motion passes with a vote of 5-0.
Thank you to my colleagues. And then Steve, this is the time you can come up over here and you'll get sworn in.
Just check. I
I, Steve Lane,
do solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter.
yes, I will do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can I say a few words? And then you want to invite your wife up to you for some photos. Would you like to say a few words?
Well, this is the first time I joined the Cerritos, which I've been benefit, raised my kids all the last 24 years in the city, and I think it's about the time to help, and if city need it, and it's good for me to learn something of city operation also, and hopefully I can help.
You want to invite your wife up for a picture too?
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Steve, time to do the work.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next item we have is the public we will move to public comments and suggestion. Just want to remind the speaker that tonight's meeting, state law and our local rules do not support the use of profanity, hateful speech, or conduct that disturbs the conduct of the city business meeting. If necessary, I will issue an initial warning and call for the recess to restore the order. After that, the chambers may be cleared if disturbance continue. Next, I will call upon City Clerk to provide additional information concerning public comments.
Thank you, Mayor. The following comments pertain to all public comment periods on tonight's agenda. Prior to the meeting, the council and agency members received full-text, unredacted copies of the 6 written comments submitted for this meeting by the deadline listed on the agenda. Requests for copies of written comments can be made to the Office of the City Clerk Treasurer during regular business hours. The mayor will open public comments at the appropriate times on the agenda. Please be prepared to approach the podium and begin your comments at the time you are called. Public comments should be directed to the City Council and made only from the podium during your turn. Please respect each speaker and refrain from any disruptive behavior or speech during their comment time. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. This concludes the public comment period for this meeting, and the meeting is returned to the mayor to open public comments and suggestions.
Thank you. I have a first speaker is the Monica Valentine, sorry.
Valentine.
All right, Valentine.
Hi, my name is Monica Ballantyne, as was said, and I've been a Cerritos resident since 1976. This is going to be very short, but very sweet. I'm not here to complain. I'm not here to ask for anything. On the contrary, I stand at this podium to thank you guys and all the city appointed people, all of you guys. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know that you guys work every day. You do things that are seen and unseen for the city of Cerritos. You make decisions on a daily basis for us, the city, I think I got a little nervous. I can't believe this. Anyways, you make daily decisions on behalf of the city of Cerritos residents. My hope and my prayer is that those decisions are not made because of personal gain or attention, but rather for the betterment of the community of the city of Cerritos and its residents. So simply put, thank you and God bless you. That's it.
Thank you. We rarely get those kind of comments here, so thank you. Next I have is David Wallman.
I'll probably need 46 more seconds. David Pyleman, 7842 Squaw Valley Way. I agree with Chase Vanderlinden. Public comment should be restricted to Cerritos residents. I am not pleased with the decisions of this council pertaining to the conduct of their meetings, specifically the agenda construction. 2 weeks ago, at a public meeting on an issue which will come before you late next month, I commented to Kristen that the last time I appeared at a school board meeting, I spoke on 5 occasions. Because the school board deals with many personnel issues, both staff and student, they regularly hold a closed session before their regular meeting. Therefore, there is a public comment section before they go into closed session. On this night, I wanted to comment on a real estate issue which they were going to discuss in closed session. So tonight, one might wish to comment on the Valley View Street issue and should not be required to use their opportunity for public comment on issues which elsewhere appear on the agenda, traditionally without a normal comment period. In addition, the school board has a public comment section near the beginning of their regular meeting, and again, has a public comment section after all the agenda items have been heard. During a previous meeting, you debated whether your public comment section should be placed at the end of the meeting, and you discussed whether it be placed before or after city council members' reports. It was formerly the common practice that council members would not respond to the public during the public comment section, but at the end of the meeting might ask questions of staff and then ask for consensus from their colleagues to have an issue which might have been mentioned by the public put on a future agenda. Mr. Barrows made comments about a residents' issues within the public comment section at a recent meeting, but which would have another resident an opportunity to respond. But placing a second comment section after agenda item 11B would allow for another view on the council person's comments. This, I believe, would provide better transparency. As an in-chambers observer of prior years' council meetings, I was frustrated when Jim Edwards would pass on asking questions or making comments about an agenda item just after the staff report. Then public comment would ensue. Then he would make some comments which I might desire to refute, and therefore I was denied that opportunity. I believe it would better serve the residents if the council members would ask questions and make their position clear on an issue before the public might make their opinions heard. I can recall on a couple of occasions when a member of the public present had a better view of an agenda item than even the staff. Since the discussion of revisions to the protocol manual surfaced in the last two meetings, maybe the agenda construction could be revisited. In conclusion, I would request that item 7C be pulled from the consent calendar to allow for discussion on the extension of the terms of office for commission members. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Next speaker I have is Al Barleby.
Good evening, council members. My name is Al, and I'm a proud Zionist. I've been living in Cerritos for 25 years, and it's very sad that our city has been targeted by racist, pro-Hamas anti-Semites seeking what they call a ceasefire resolution, but it's really murder and rape the Jews resolution. Hamas has murdered and raped so many people, over 1,200, and kidnapped them and holding them hostages. Those people who are seeking the resolution do not want Hamas to release the hostages and disarm to prevent a second Holocaust. What really upsets me is that Hamas used rape as a weapon. You don't have to believe the witnesses. You don't have to believe the victims. Look at the evidence. The evidence is that Hamas had handbooks how to translate expressions from Arabic to Hebrew, and they had drop your pants. Why do they need a drop your pants unless they want to rape people? Some of these rapists, some of these racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites are women. I hope that God has a special place in hell for the women who support rape. We should not allow rape. Rape is not a form of resistance. So the city has taken all sorts of actions to try to dissuade the racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites from coming here. Obviously, it didn't work because they're very passionate about their cause. They're willing to go to jail. They're willing to get fired from their jobs. And the ones that join Hamas are willing to die for their cause because they're promised 72 virgins in heaven if they die while murdering Jews. So I recommend a different approach. How about putting on the agenda resolutions calling for, basically condemning Hamas for what they did on October 7th? Any reasonable person who's not a racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites would not object, would support that. So basically, put it on the agenda. If they show up, pass it. If they don't show up, table it. And if that doesn't work, pass another resolution saying Israel has the right to exist. Again, anybody who's not a racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites would not object to it. Or how about Hamas release the hostages? Anybody who's not a racist pro-Hamas anti-Semite would not object to it. And then if that doesn't work, how about a resolution supporting America's aid to Israel so that Israel can defend itself? Basically, the objective is to tell those racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites that Cerritos does not support Hamas because what Hamas did on October 7th is even worse. It's not equal, it's worse than what Al-Qaeda did on September 11th. To put into perspective, the death toll in Israel would have to be 50,000 people here in America to be equal.
Next speaker is Teddy Lloyd.
Good evening, City Council and the Mayor. Today I'm basically commenting about the Brown Act, which I didn't know anything about until someone explained it to me what it is. I'm very, very happy with everything the City of Cerritos has done. And I had the opportunity to talk to the City Council members, and then not to mention the City Manager, City Clerk, and they've always been very helpful regarding, as you probably know, I've been to several City Council meetings requesting the city for pickleball courts, not for me personally, but for most of the other residents. So number one, I'm here essentially, I want to be very grateful. I want to thank the city because the city has done so much based on what I've been involved with. So for example, the city has done it for the Liberty Park, okay? And then the Liberty Park's got 2 more pickleball courts and just opened up, I guess last week. And then I do know that the city is currently working on having more pickleball courts on the east side, and one of which came up with the suggestion from our ex-mayor, Mr. Bruce Barrows. And then I followed his suggestion, and I did a lot of analysis and review, and then had a very good opportunity. I present, and I had a chance to talk to our city manager, Robert Lopez. We discussed a lot of it. I'm very, very happy that the city is so responsive and so much helpful. And then I do understand very often when you come to a city council meeting, I guess it's by Brown Act, usually I'm so accustomed to working on things can get results right away, and which I understand in a city council meeting, very often you can present information, but you really don't know whether or not the information it's, as a joke, whether it's going to be thrown away or whether it's something will be considered. And so if I may ask the city sometimes give us residents some sort of a response, or let's say the idea is being considered, but we may not have anything for you, for a few months or something like that. And then I hope that will help us residents to really understand, rather than very often because of the Brown Act, you don't hear much about it, okay? But basically, I'm very happy. I am very happy with the city of Cerritos, and I know the city of Cerritos has done. And then very often, sometimes I would just go to City Hall and talk to the department staff, and then they've been very helpful for me in helping me on it. And then, so bottom line is that I personally do consider the suggestion made by Mr. Bruce Barrows of what the city should consider at the Don Kanabe Regional Park. I think it's a golden opportunity for our city of Cerritos. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Next speaker I have is Maha Afra.
Good evening. Tonight, my comments are dedicated to Ben, whose yarmulke was yanked off his head and who was pepper sprayed directly in his eyes, burning an eye and scratching the other. Eli, whose sign was stolen and who was pepper sprayed twice because he is Jewish. To Essay, who was pushed, shoved, verbally assaulted because she is Jewish. To the other Jewish ladies who are still recovering. To Fernando, who got kicked and the rock was smashed into his face. To Vince, who got arrested because he was defending a lady. To Adnan, who was pepper sprayed in his eyes and had to go to urgent care. To Marilyn, who was beaten by men when she was walking to her car. To the women who were punched and their hijabs yanked off their heads. To the woman whose hijab was yanked off and she got egged on her head. To the PYM women who got punched and shoved. I can go on and on and on. This is not Palestine or Gaza. This is here on the public streets of LA, where we were protesting peacefully a real estate event, an illegal one by any international law, where Zionists were selling stolen land in Palestine. Jewish people were holding signs saying, illegally selling stolen land is not a Jewish value. All the samples of atrocities, and there are way more, were committed by Zionists. Please note that they are so good at theft and violence, in particular against Jewish people and women. If you don't put a ceasefire resolution on your agenda here, holding those thugs accountable for what they have done to Palestinians for 100 years, soon these out-of-control criminals whose crimes you are paying for overseas and here will be out of control here as well, and will be coming after you as well for any whim or reason. This is the minimum you can do for now. By the way, and I'm serious, do you see the faces of the men, women, and children whose murder you are paying for in your sleep? Have a nice evening, Free Palestine. And by the way, I got you cardboard so you don't have to pay for it, as a gift from me to you to have more signs.
Next speaker I have is Margaret Villa.
I had the displeasure of standing in solidarity with Palestinians last Sunday. I was assaulted, intimidated, and I was followed to my car. I witnessed children, indoctrinated Zionist children, as young as 9 and 10 years old. They were spitting at us. Their parents, their family members were standing there allowing it with approval. I seen a rabbi who was assaulted by Zionists for sport. There's a video of this. But Mayor Karen Bass made a quick judgment call and spun the truth. Tell me this doesn't speak of collusion from City Hall. JFK once said in 1960, Israel was created in order to exist. It was Woodrow Wilson who professed great wisdom and a Jewish homeland. It was Roosevelt who kept alive the hope of Jewish redemption in the day of Nazi terrorism. But it was Truman who recognized the status of Israel. We support all aspirations for peace. I promise to waste no time, he said, with the Middle East, who needs water, not war. They need tractors, not tanks. They need bread, not bombs. Jesus Christ. We have asked you for this quality and symbolic idea for so many months. We've asked you to stand on principle. Instead, you've shown to be dismissive. We've asked you to stand with a conscience. Instead, you stand with weakness. We've asked you to stand with human rights. Instead, you discriminate. Staying silent on this is justifying a genocide. Full stop. It's the least you can do. Let your voters see again where you stand. 9 months of cruelty, 9 months of video of babies on fire, 9 months of the real beheaded baby, not the bullshit that Biden spun in the beginning that he had to walk back, not that lie. It's just a gesture. We're not asking you to bend over backwards. Viva, viva Palestina, fuck Zionism.
That's all the speaker list I had. If anybody else like to speak, can you come to the podium?
Yes, hello. I just signed up to speak. So first I'd like to talk about, I'm glad that constituents are talking about the Brown Act. I think we as a community should be talking more about that. Because I know oftentimes maybe, people come up here and people are saying, thank you so much to, the city council for allowing us to speak. It is important for the community to realize that it's not due to the city council. Rather, it is due to California's Constitution and the Brown Act. So it's not up to them. They're just complying with the law, which is a good thing. So it's not good to just randomly let's read the Brown Act, let's read the California Constitution and realize we have our rights. And so it's not up to them. So let's not thank them gratuitously. In addition to that, there was a comment about that only Cerritos residents should be allowed to comment. I would encourage everyone to rethink that. Again, going back to the history of the Brown Act, the Brown Act was established in the 50s because people in California, residents in San Francisco, were concerned that there were real estate people coming in from Marin County, from Los Angeles, from New York, doing these land deals in San Francisco to the great disadvantage of San Francisco residents. So it is important to realize that our cities are interconnected, And just because, say, what if an entire area of land is being sold off and it affects so many cities? Well, should not all the residents of the area be allowed to go and speak their mind about this very important issue? Of course. So we need to embrace California's Constitution, which says openness is the best policy, transparency is the best policy. We shouldn't be gratuitously thankful to the city council for just doing the bare minimum. Rather, let's exercise our rights and continue to speak up and expand the Brown Act. Like, I'm glad they brought it back to the YouTube, which is, on the YouTube, because we don't want a secret public meeting, which is what was going on before. So in addition to all that, I think it's also important for the city council to consider the facts that the majority of the speakers that have come up here for many weeks are calling on them to agendize a ceasefire resolution and be on record with the community about that very important issue. So thank you to the community. Free Palestine.
Thank you. I don't have any more speakers. And anyone else like to speak in any items on public comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments period. And I'd like to ask my council colleague one more time. Is anyone is interested in putting this in agenda for resolution?
I think you should. For 7C.
No, I'm talking about this public comment that they're asking in Palestine. If anyone interested in putting this resolution into the agenda? Okay, I got no votes. Thank you. Next item is the consent calendar, and one of the residents says to pull out the item 7C. David? Yeah, nobody voted. David, the item was 7C. You wanted to pull it out? Okay. So do I have a motion on consent calendar except item 7C?
Yes.
I have a question, please.
Yeah, okay.
For example, do I have to request to remove an item from the consent calendar to vote no on it?
Yes.
So I just, okay, so then let's also remove item 7I.
Okay, we have two items out, items 7C and 7I.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the remaining items with my abstaining on 7C. I'm sorry, I turned off mic. I made a motion to approve the remaining items with my abstaining on 7A.
Isn't that similar to what I just asked, City Attorney? If I can vote separately on an item, if I can vote a different vote on one item on the consent calendar? Didn't I just ask that?
Yes, actually, I would recommend, why don't we go ahead and pull 7A so that you can go ahead and separately abstain on that one. So the balance would be,
Okay, we have, so let's say item 7A out, 7C out, and 7I out. And do I have motion with the rest of the items?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Yes, second.
All right, Madam Clerk, or do we have a vote here on the screen? Okay, yes. All right, now I'll bring it back to item 7A.
The balance of the consent calendar does pass by a vote of 5-0.
Okay. Now the approval of the item 7A. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve 7A.
Second.
Okay, I have motion
Do
and
we need
second.
public comments?
there were
No, there's no
none
public
asked for, only for 7C, so no.
Okay, so we have a vote on all of them except, you're gonna vote yes now?
No.
Just to
Just
vote on
7A,
7A.
just 7A.
Yeah, please change mine to abstain.
Okay, all right. Let's bring it item 7C.
I think we're going to make sure that the votes are recorded. So at this time, the vote on 7A, there was a motion by Councilmember Johnson, and it was seconded by Councilmember Yokoyama. Is that correct?
I made the motion.
No, he made a
The other way around.
motion.
Okay, thank you. So a motion by
Councilwoman
Councilmember
Johnson
Yokoyama
second.
and Councilwoman Johnson second. And
Yes.
the vote will pass with 4 ayes and 1 abstention by Councilmember
Okay.
Barros.
Very good. Now item 7C. I guess residents would like to speak on this item.
Let me start that I do not advocate any failure to follow all of the laws of the state of California. Again, David Pyleman, 7842 Squaw Valley Way. I spoke at last Tuesday's meeting of the Property Preservation Meeting. It was apparent that at least 2 members of that commission had no idea what was being discussed tonight. I had reviewed the past few minutes of that commission, and there apparently had been no mention of the extension of their terms with them. Last night, the Let Freedom Ring Committee met. There again was no mention of tonight's proceedings. I had a discussion with a staff member assigned to conduct the meetings of another commission. I inquired whether they were aware that there was a possibility to increase or decrease the meeting schedule for that commission, and their comments were, "I don't believe they've gotten that far." By reviewing the video of the April 27 meeting, it is obvious that significant consideration and discussions have occurred. During discussion about this topic on June 13th, resident Sam Desai expressed support for council communication with city advisory board members related to suggested program direction. Subsequently, he expressed concern regarding community involvement in advisory boards, commissions, and committees. So this leaves me with the question, do these volunteers know what you are planning for them? And no wonder there are difficulties in getting members for these bodies. During the review of the Starbucks approval, and I hate to keep bringing up Starbucks, as I hope be remembered that I was not just opposed to the Starbucks installation, but opposed to the larger concept of adding any additional drive-through locations in the city. I had a discussion with a council member about whether they had presented their views to their appointed commission member, and their response was, "I never discuss pending issues with my appointee. It is my perception that this is the wrong way for us to operate." Considering all the topics which have surfaced relating to the protocols, I am confident that this project will not be finished within the targeted time in the agenda report. In fact, I believe a larger working group should be working on this project. Lastly, on this subject, I am dismayed that the July Planning Commission and Parks and Recreation Commission meetings have been canceled. Yes, July 3 and 4 were probably poor dates, but one of 15 other dates might have been selected. Appreciate your consideration as you consider this item.
Thank you. Okay, with that, do I have a motion for item 7C?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Okay.
The motion passes by a vote of 5-0. Excuse me, Mayor.
Thank you. Excuse me. Next item is 7I. Frank?
I'm ready to vote on it.
You wanted to pull, you didn't want to have a discussion on 7I? Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Oh, is there opportunity for questioning?
Sure.
Oh, okay. I have a question. Is on this agenda report for 7I, am I clear on this that they would like to move the August 8 meeting to August 22? Is that what that means?
No, the 22 is already scheduled. The only thing, all the items going to be moved from agenda from 8 to 22nd.
Is that correct?
22nd is already scheduled.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, thank you, Councilmember Johnson, for the question. The staff has evaluated our business items that need to be transacted over the summer and over the next couple of months. We do forecasting. And given the lighter schedule that was planned for the 8th, those items that were originally planned for the 8th can be shifted to August 22nd without the need to reschedule the meeting of August 8th.
All right, then to confirm, we only have one meeting in August.
That would be correct.
Okay,
If the
thank you.
August 8th meeting would be canceled.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve 7I?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Okay, consent calendar is done. What is,
The electronic voting has been activated if all council members can vote. And the motion passes by a vote of 4-1.
next item is the item, public hearing, Mr. Lopez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. This public hearing, item 8A, is the culmination of several meetings held by the City Council in the preparation of the new fiscal year budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The overview of this final budget for your consideration will be presented by Finance Manager Peter Kemp, and following his presentation, he and members of our team will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, and good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The public hearing item before you this evening is the review and consideration to waive full reading of and adopt 2 joint resolutions of the City Council of the City of Cerritos and the successor agency to the Cerritos Redevelopment Agency. The first resolution is to approve and adopt the annual combined financial program for fiscal year 2024-25, commonly referred to as the budget. And the second resolution is to approve and adopt the annual investment policy for fiscal year 2024-25. As part of the budget development process, the City Council conducted meetings on January 25, May 9, and June 13, 2024, to review and consider the preliminary 2024-25 budget in a study session format. These meetings included discussion and modification directives from the City Council. The report before you summarizes the proposed modifications to date. These changes include both financial and non-financial adjustments, some directed by the City Council and others proposed by staff. Included in these modifications are several operational expenditure adjustments related to City Council travel and meeting, as well as the city's housing element, several personnel reclassifications and adjustments, and the addition of several narrative sections in the budget document aimed at summarizing the city's accounting practices and fiscal policies. In aggregate, the proposed modifications would minimally impact the budget, adding just under $47,000 to the operational budget and having no impact on the capital improvement program budget. Additionally, a revenue forecast increase of approximately $15,000 would further minimize the impacts of the proposed changes. Through the City Council's careful stewardship of the city's finances, the city continues to maintain a robust financial position with healthy reserves and substantial asset holdings, ensuring long-term fiscal stability. The budget and modifications discussed in the report address the City Council's priority goals and conform to the strategic financial plan and budget preparation policy, providing the City Council with the opportunity to approve a well-crafted budget and strategic plan of activities for the year ahead. As such, it is respectfully recommended that the City Council conduct a public hearing on this item, soliciting comments and input from the public. Receive and file Planning Commission Resolution PC 2024-11. Review and consider the information provided in this report, exhibits, and the corresponding preliminary budget document, and direct any modifications to the budget for its final adoption. And finally, adopt both joint resolutions approving the budget and annual investment policy, inclusive of any such modifications as deemed appropriate by the City Council. This concludes my presentation on this item. Mr. Lopez, myself, and all staff in attendance are available for questions should you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, Drew, Robert, and entire directors who worked on this budget. You guys all worked very hard to bring this budget, and it's a well-written budget. And just want to say thank you all. With that, this council has any questions for the staff?
I have a question.
Okay.
One of the budget sessions that we had maybe a couple months ago, I went over through each of the department or the cost centers of our budget. And one of the questions I did have was the chamber funding, which was a request of $62,000 grant from the city of Cerritos. I don't know if we have an update from staff about that meeting we had with the chamber, but I've also been informed that the chamber no longer leases office space. Let's just say rent is maybe $4,000, so that's a savings of $48,000, but yet the chamber has not revoked their request of $62,000. They're still asking for it. So if they're no longer paying it, the rent, is there a new business plan or a new budget on how the grant funds will be spent? Have we heard from the chamber on that? You know, for the record, I'm not in support of a budget that just gives away $62,000. I think there should be some accountability, but I would like to hear what kind of discussion came up with that meeting with the chamber.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Myself and the city manager, Robert Lopez, did meet with the chamber staff as well as their executive board. And in regards to your concerns and the questions you had at the council meeting in regards to their tax reports and documentations that you were questioning. And so I will go ahead and pass it on to our city manager because he was also as well at that meeting, and I'll have him report to the council as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Vo. Thank you, Councilmember Johnson, for the questions. As was mentioned, I joined Mayor Pro Tem Vo in a meeting with representatives from the Cerritos Chamber of Commerce. And one question that had been raised previously had to do with filing of taxes. They did affirm that their taxes for their fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023 was indeed filed, and that they had filed the appropriate paperwork. We are currently in their fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, so those taxes, of course, haven't yet been filed. And in the course of discussion, we discussed various aspects of the chamber's operation. They have indicated some financial challenges in the recent years, especially in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic. They lost several members as a result. Some businesses closed. Other businesses had to watch their own expenses very carefully. But we did discuss ideas for how the chamber can expand its programming, expand its membership, and seek ways in partnership with the city to support our local businesses. City staff has become aware of the change in the chamber's office location. It's no longer in the location that they had occupied for many years, which they were paying significant rent. I believe they are in the search for a new location. That's what I understand. Currently, they're kind of dispersed, but they are seeking an actual commercial locations from what I've been told. So, in the city's past, the allocation that's been provided by the city to the chamber has been intended for their programming expenses, so not necessarily for their rent, but as part of the whole operation that supports the business community. They haven't provided any additional details to the city as to any changes in their needs on behalf of the city. And if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Also, there are, I guess, the CEO and the former president of the chambers are here. They may make a comments on this item if they would like to.
Well, at appropriate time, right?
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to hear, actually. Thank you for that. Yeah, so then, so that's, my question is, they're not leasing now. They are looking. I don't understand why we have to give them the $62,000. And like you said, it's for programming and not for rent, so they certainly don't need the full $62,000. That's a concern. All of our other grantees of our community grant program, on an average, receives from $1,500 to $2,500, all for programming. Here, it's $62,000, which is actually up another $20,000 from previous years. In the past, it was $48,000. People in the community have asked that. This is taxpayer dollars. I'm really not in support of granting such an amount. I know last year, Bruce, as mayor, had held back the funding until they proposed a business plan. Maybe if we held back funding now as well until they find office space, but then again, it shouldn't be used for office space, but I don't think the funding should be given upfront as of now. That's my take on that. I don't know if anybody else has questions.
Okay, thank you.
Point of clarification.
Okay.
The money is paid monthly, right?
I'm sorry.
I said, you know, the money that we pay them, like most people.
it's
this
quarterly.
is on a
Quar-
monthly basis.
Yeah,
quarterly, Bruce.
the city, I'll defer to our finance manager to confirm, but regarding our disbursements.
Yes, I believe those payments are made on a monthly basis to the chamber.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? If it's not, I will open up for the public comments. If anyone like to speak on this item 8A. Seeing none, then I guess I'll close the public hearing, bring it back from the council for any comments. If it's not,
Could I please make a comment?
Sure.
I just feel I need to comment because of the city manager's report. Yes, you know, we had a local emergency here in our city because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it affected our residents and it affected our businesses. In 2020, our businesses were suffering, and one of the solutions that other local cities and cities across the country did to help their local businesses and local residents was they capped the fees being charged by the food delivery companies. And I advocated for that here in our city. I advocated for our city to help our local businesses, our local restaurants survive the pandemic by not being price gouged by the the restaurant delivery companies. And I didn't get support from the chamber, and I didn't get support from the council. And my push to help our restaurants failed. We did not cap the fees being charged by the restaurant delivery companies being charged to our Cerritos restaurants. And we know what the consequences, the consequence of the pandemic is we lost some businesses because of the pandemic, and we lost some restaurants because of the pandemic. And if even one of those restaurants could have survived because they were not being price gouged by the restaurant delivery companies, that would have been a great thing done by our city and our city council and the chamber to speak up for our Cerritos restaurants and help them reduce their fees and not be price gouged by these restaurant delivery companies that are not local Cerritos businesses. They are national businesses making lots of money, and they're still in business today. Those restaurant delivery companies are still in business today, making a lot of money. So I just look back on it because of the city manager's report that one of the challenges that the chamber is dealing with is we lost businesses because of the pandemic. Well, one of the reasons why is, in my opinion, one proactive step we didn't take that other cities took, like the city of Artesia or the city of Buena Park or the city of Irvine or the city of Los Angeles, is our city did not cap delivery fees, and we lost Cerritos restaurants. I needed to share that because I'm sad that we lost Cerritos businesses because of the pandemic when maybe we could have saved some of those businesses.
Thank you, Frank. Bill, is there a city can restrict a delivery company, food delivery company, or any delivery company as a private company? Can city impose fees, says you cannot charge these fees to our restaurant businesses? It's a private company who's delivering the product to our city, restaurant and markets and everywhere else. Can you tell them that you have to reduce your fee to deliver in Cerritos?
Well, I think that the devil may be in the details to any proposal like that. As far as the ability for the city to regulate businesses and their operations, yes, we have general police powers for that, But if there is going to be a cap in how much a business may be able to make or any individual may make, then there may be other due process considerations that may come into play that would have to be considered.
So can we look into it now that how many companies are delivering at what fees they're charging compared to the other cities?
As far as a comparison, yes, we could.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we could.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have my last comments. So, you know, I'd like for the chamber to succeed. I've met with the chamber. I've met with other board members of the chamber, have provided them resources, and we all want to see them succeed. But I also have to keep in mind, as public stewards of public funds, we can't just give away money where there's no accountability. I'd like to really come up with a solution that maybe that's amenable to my council colleagues. I know in the past, some of my colleagues didn't support funding an increase to the chamber, but that doesn't seem to be the same from last year's vote. I don't know how they feel about this year, but perhaps, and I think Peter had mentioned, because they're paid monthly, maybe, if we go ahead and adjust the grant funding back to the 48,000 that we had a year ago until, and give a date we can all discuss. Like I said, Bruce did this last year where he gave a date, until the chamber comes up with a new business plan that's transparent, that they work with their board. You guys have a board of directors. You need to be transparent with them. I've heard from some board of directors, they said they can't even look at, don't even have access to the financials. They should. The board oversees the executive director. They need to work together. But that's something that I think that maybe if they do come up with another business plan to let us know how the 48,000 is being spent, that way the community feels comfortable with it. So then I'd like to make a motion then for this budget to approve a grant fund of $48,000 per year for the chamber and give them until July 31st. No, Bruce, last year you used a month, August or something. August 30th, maybe? August 30th. That would give them enough time, all of July, all of August. August 30th to come up with a business plan that's transparent to their board of directors and to this council. That hopefully, that's my motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Seeing none, motion dies. Okay, any other comments?
I have a question for the city attorney. Bill? Okay, sorry. If
We're here.
I'm not in support of granting the funds, how am I able to vote on the budget but separate that portion out? Am I able to do that?
There are two ways you can, of course, make a motion. If it is seconded, then that could be integrated into that particular line item with the balance of the budget. Or if there is no second, then obviously there can be a notation in the record. But if there is no second and for a separate vote on that line item, then the entire balance of the budget would then be the question before the council.
Okay, then I'll make that motion when it's appropriate time when we actually vote on the entire budget then, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve item 8A?
I believe I'd like to make a motion to pull the item in regards to the grant funding to the Chamber of Commerce to be considered separately.
Second.
There's a
And-
motion and a second.
And just to be clear, Bill, my motion is to pull that out, and a vote of yes by my colleagues does not send a message that they are voting against that budget, correct?
If I may, Councilmember Johnson, and please correct me if I misheard it, but I believe the motion and second was to have a separate vote by the council on that one line item.
Okay,
Is that correct?
yes.
And
It's-
is that?
yes, that's
And
the-
Councilmember Yokoyama, is that how you understood it as well? There's just a
Yes.
separate vote, okay.
Oh, okay.
So that is the motion currently before the council. It is just this one line item that deals with the program grants for the chamber.
I'm sorry, Vita, then can you repeat the exact motion then?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. The motion is to request that the item related to the chamber be considered separately. There was a motion made by Councilmember Johnson, and that is seconded by Councilmember Yokoyama. It is not a vote on the item itself. It's rather a vote to consider that item separately.
And a vote of yes means
That
you
the item-
approve the item, and a vote of no means you disapprove of the item.
That's not how I understood it.
No?
That's not how it is.
If I
No,
may,
yes,
I believe it was
I'm
for a
asking.
separate consideration of a vote, but the amount or the actual item itself would be a separate vote. That is how I understood the motion.
That's how I understood.
I'm confused.
Is that incorrect with what you wanted to have the motion be, Councilmember Johnson? Just vote on the item separately, correct?
Yes. So a vote of yes means, can you give me clarification? A vote of yes would mean,
There will be a separate vote on the chamber item as it pertains to the budget.
oh, and then we would have to vote again.
Correct. On the
Thank you.
amount or anything else that would be considered
Thank
in
you.
connection with that item.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Oh, are we voting now?
There is a motion and a second, yes.
And the motion does not pass by a vote of 3-2, or 2-3, I apologize, 2 yeses and 3 nos.
Okay, now we're voting on the item 8A.
Make a motion to approve the budget.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion and second.
Before I vote, I want to make a quick comment. I just want to let the folks know that after our meeting with the chamber is very clear, and I hope they're clear, and they understand the expectation of this city with that chamber moving forward. It has been a discussion going on for years, and we want the chamber to succeed. We're going to start off by allowing the chamber to succeed, but it doesn't mean that we can't bring this item back for discussion. So for you, Councilmember Johnson, I am open to bringing it back to reevaluate this item if for some reason the chamber does not meet our expectations. So with that, I'm going to vote.
And the motion passes by a vote of 4-1.
Okay, the next item is under 9A. Robert?
Thank you, Mayor. Item 9A is a follow-up item, and it relates to an annual required action related to setting an appropriation limit for the city. This presentation will also be given by Mr. Kemp, and following his presentation, he and our team will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, and good evening again, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. The item before you is a budget-related item pertaining to the approval of the city's annual appropriations limit. This is an administrative item that every city and county within California is mandated to address, as set forth in Article 13B of the state constitution. To give you some background on this item, in November of 1979, the voters of California approved Proposition 4, commonly referred to as the GAN limit, and was adopted into the state constitution as Article 13B.
The GAM limit places a limit on the amount of revenue that can be spent by a municipal agency as it relates to revenue derived from the proceeds of taxes. Proposition 4 became effective in fiscal year 1980-81, but the formula that is used to calculate the baseline appropriations limit uses the 1978-79 fiscal year. Article 13B was amended in 1990 by Prop 111 to allow the annual adjustment formula to incorporate calculations that reflect local growth factors, and accordingly, the resulting limit is reflective of cumulative adjustments to the 1978-79 baseline by using local population and inflation growth factors as approved by the State Department of Finance. The population factor is measured by either city or county population growth, while the inflation factor is measured by either the growth in California per capita income or the increase in non-residential assessed valuation from new construction. Only those revenues that are referred to as proceeds of taxes are subject to the limit. Staff used the growth in California per capita income and the County of Los Angeles population growth factor as the adjustment factors in the calculation to arrive at the $251.6 million limit for the new fiscal year 24-25. The appropriations subject to this limit are $75.2 million. And this represents the city's anticipated proceeds from taxes and places the city approximately $176.4 million below the appropriations limit. The appropriations limit resolution is being presented at this time with the intention of including it in the appendix of the final fiscal year 24-25 budget document. At this time, staff respectfully requests the City Council waive full reading of and adopt the resolution of the city's annual appropriations limit for fiscal year 24-25. This concludes my presentation. Mr. Lopez and myself are available should the council have any questions. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Drew and Peter, Robert, and I guess Mary Ann. The council has any question for the staff? See none. I will call for the public comments if anybody like to speak on item 9A. See none, I'll declare the public comment closed, bring it back for the council for any comments again. If it's not, do I have a motion?
Move staff recommendations.
Second.
Okay. You have a motion in a second.
And the motion passes by a vote of 4-1.
Thank you. Next item is the legislative item, 10A. Any items?
Thank you, Mayor. We do not have any items to report under either 10A or 10B this evening.
Thank you. 11A, reports from city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'm pleased to report on 2 promotions we've had within our city team. Firstly, I'd like to announce the promotion of Annie Hilton to the position of the Director of Community and Cultural Services. Annie has been with the city since 1991 when she began as a communications assistant. And in 1995, Annie was promoted to the position of Public Information Manager. And during that time, Annie oversaw the implementation of the city's very first website. Over the years, Annie has held several roles within the city. Most recently, in 2014, she was promoted to the position of City Librarian and Marketing Manager, and has had oversight over multiple divisions in the city, including communications, library, and theater marketing. In her role as the director of this newly reconstituted department, Annie will be overseeing the city's library division, our recreation services division, and our community participation and senior center division. And we're all very happy for Annie and congratulate her on promotion. And at this time, I'd like to turn the mic over to Annie to offer any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. I'd just like to say that I'm deeply honored and very grateful to have this opportunity. I am very appreciative to Robert for his confidence that I can carry out the duties of leading our new department. Cerritos is a wonderful city. I feel so very fortunate to work here and to serve the residents of this community, and looking forward to working with, we have a very talented team to enhance our cultural library community participation senior services, and recreation services. So I'm really delighted to join the executive team and really looking forward to continuing to serving our community. Thank you.
Congratulations and well deserved. And who's second, Robert?
If I can just add one thing. Annie, if I recall correctly, our website won a lot of awards and recognitions. And I want to say congratulations. We expect more of the same from you. Because we do have a new website coming up pretty soon. But, I do recall that was my first introduction to the broad scope of what you've been working on. And we look forward, like I said, to seeing a lot more from you.
And Mayor, I have another announcement this evening. I'm pleased to announce the promotion of Peter Kemp to the position of Finance Manager. Peter joined the city in the year 2000 as a swim instructor at the Cerritos Olympic Swim Center. Over the years, Peter has held several roles in recreation services, in finance, and in public works. In 2022, Peter was promoted to the position of Budget Manager, and we're very pleased at the budget that he presented to you this year as well as last year. In his new role as Finance Manager, Peter will continue to oversee our budget function, but will also be overseeing our financial reporting, water billing, and of course the budgeting and the investment portfolio. We're pleased to have Peter in this role, overseeing our finance division. And with that, I will turn the mic over to Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, and thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. I'll echo Annie's comments. It's a deep honor. I'm very grateful for the opportunity and the trust provided in me by Mr. Lopez and Mr. Schneider. I would like to give a special thanks and acknowledge our incredible finance team. They have been so supportive and dedicated, not only to putting this budget together that we've presented you tonight, but just in supporting me over the last few months as I've served in the acting finance manager role. So I want to thank them, acknowledge them, and I look forward to continuing to serve the Cerritos community and working for the council and with the staff in achieving our collective goals. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations again. Great job. Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have this evening, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, City Council communication. I'll start with Councilwoman Linda Johnson.
Thank you. On June 22nd, I attended the SMAP Leadership Summit at the CCPA Sierra Room. The event was hosted by Unite for Humanity, which brought in leaders from the South Asian community to empower and to encourage community engagement. Thank you to Mr. Vijay Patel for extending an invitation for me to attend. Later that evening, I attended the ALADS banquet where they honored former city manager Art Galucci, the Howard Chambers Award for Outstanding City Manager Service. It was a proud moment for Art's family and for the city of Cerritos. On June 23rd, I attended the Arts Ambassador Social at the CCPA Sierra Room. Frank and I presented certificates to over 150 ambassadors of the CCPA. These are volunteers that have dedicated from 1 to 1,000 hours of service, and they serve our patrons who attend our shows and are given first-class treatment so that they may have a memorable experience. Thank you to Jenny Morales and Nicole Costello for putting together an amazing event. And a big thanks to Director Jeff Dilke for managing a great crew. From our facility assistants to our technicians and to our security, it was an honor to meet our ambassadors and to personally thank them for their service. Thank you.
Chung.
Thank you, Mayor. In the last 2 weeks since the last council meeting, I attended the first CEB car wash fundraiser for our Marines that we sponsor at Camp Pendleton. It was a good day. We had, a bunch of Marines from Camp Pendleton come down to Cerritos at the mall, doing car washes. All that money that's raised by the first CEB goes back to them. So to thank them basically for their services. And it was a good day, good event. I think there was a lot of money raised, and thank you to the community for those who came out. They gave great car washes. And then I also, because unfortunately the mayor at the time wasn't able to make it, I attended the story time at the library. It was a great event. There was lots of little kids that were appreciative of the staff at the library putting up in that program. It was fun. I know that in the past you've done it, Bruce and Naresh, as mayor, and I've done it too as the mayor as well. And it's just a great event for the families there to see the involvement from our city and to give back to the community. I also attended the ALATS Awards Banquet, honoring all the men and women in uniform and state electeds and local electeds as well. That night, though, the reason why it was extra special, it was mentioned already, our own former retired city manager, Art Colucci, was present to receive the City Manager Award for his services, all the years and dedication to this city, but also as well as working with the local sheriff's department. It was nice to see him. It was nice to see how happy he was. His whole family was there, and we were able to speak with them as well. One of his his daughter, mentioned to the mayor and myself that he was glowing and happy because he saw his best friends there, and so that was kind of cool. And you can tell Art was really moved by the honor. He looks a lot younger, since retirement. So it's nice to see that he's healthy, he's strong, and he's still capable. And I'm sure he's turning in applications wherever he can because he still wants to work. Is what I'm hearing. Yeah. But yeah. So congratulations to Art. I also want to bring up something that's kind of new. This came to me as I was having dinner at one of the local restaurants. I was having wings, and there was a discussion of how the city it was this discussion how it would be nice to have a competition of sorts, kind of like other cities that do like lobster festivals and so forth. Chili cook-off. And one of the things that Cerritos and the local cities around us here are known for are like Korean wings, Korean food, with the addition to all the I guess you call it the chicken places, hot chicken places with those wings, hot wings, and so forth. I thought it would be a great idea to explore the concept of having a wing festival locally for the surrounding cities as well to participate. I recently spoke to council at La Palma. They were excited to be a part of it. And so I was thinking just regionally, we can look at participating and collaborating with La Palma, Buena Park, Artesia, ourselves, because of the community around us, showcases that type of food. And I researched there isn't that type of festival anywhere regionally near us. They do have wing festivals at other places, which I was a little surprised, but yeah, they do have it. And I thought how great it would be to explore that idea with us as well as the local cities. I will obviously, like other events that I've brought forward, and with the council's approval, I'll do the work and discussions with the other cities to try and get that moving forward. Not too much pressure on staff, but when that time comes, me and staff will have to step up as well. But I would like to get consensus in just the exploration of it and the idea of having a wing festival or a chicken wing festival for our local region here with the participation of those cities I mentioned. So I hope we get consensus on that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And with that, I'm done with my report. Thank you.
Okay. Frank?
On June 14, my son and I attended the grand opening of the LA County Cerritos Community Swimming Pool with Supervisor Janice Hahn and Assemblymember Sharon Quirk Silva. And then also later that night, I attended with hundreds of local leaders the Chinese American elected officials 12th annual installation and awards dinner. On June 15, I attended the 126th anniversary Kalayaan Grand Gala. There were hundreds of people in attendance to see representatives from the Philippine Consulate General, guest speaker from the Philippines, Senator Risa Hontiveros, and the many cultural performances throughout the night. And I was happy on Father's Day to enjoy here in our city of Cerritos, celebrating Father's Day with my family, including my dad, Tom, who's been a Cerritos resident with me since 1976. Last week, I was honored to attend the inaugural AAPI Lead Summit. There were over 300 elected and appointed AAPI leaders at the summit to learn from sessions and interactive events and sharing best practices. We heard from Secretary of Labor Julie Su, one of Cerritos' own. We heard from California Treasurer Rob Bonta. We heard from White House Advisor to the President, Erica Moritsugu. It was such an inspirational event, and I was honored to have the opportunity to speak at that event to the attendees as well. I got to speak on behalf of our city of Cerritos, as well as the President of the Asian Pacific American Municipal Officials. On June 20, I chaired the League of California Cities Governance, Transparency, and Labor Relations Policy Committee meeting. That was our third meeting of the year, and that's going to lead us into the annual conference of the League of California Cities later this year. And on Saturday, last Saturday, I was honored to attend the Philippine Friendship Festival at Irvine Valley College. It was a well-attended event with other Filipino elected officials, such as Santa Ana Councilmember Phil Becerra and Artesia Councilmember Melissa Ramoso. It was emceed by our own Mark Polito, and it was a great Filipino community event that brought the community together, featuring a keynote speech by Irvine Mayor Farrakhan. And one of the funnest things that I did since the last meeting was getting together with our great volunteers from the Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts at the recognition lunch this past Sunday. I like how that event is put together for a nice lunch. I enjoyed the food, which I told Jeff, which was some good sandwiches, soups, and salads, and desserts. It's always a great menu like that, Jeff. But also just being able to talk with and sit with all of those volunteers who are just so appreciative of the CCPA staff and the leadership and the city council being there, thanking them on that special day. So I want to give a shout out to Jenny. Please tell, I'm giving a shout out to Jenny Morales and Nicole Castro, and you, Jeff, and your wonderful staff. So that was a great event, and that was a really fun time I had, and I'm looking forward to it next year. And I'm also looking forward to the season opener on September 7th. And we announced it, that it's in vogue. Okay, great. So I'm looking forward to that too, Jeff. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay. All right. I too attended the June 14th community pool opening for the county with Janice Hans. And on 22nd, we attended the Sorum Baptist International at Artesia Cerrito installation at the Hilton Doubletree in Whittier. Also attended the ALAD award where they honored our former city manager, Art Galucci, and his entire family was there. It was great to see them, and he was very happy to see everyone. And I did have a time to speak to our Sheriff Robert Luna regarding some of these increases that we're getting, and he has gotten back to us, and we are trying to set up some time to go over that all those items. Also, the June 23rd, I did welcome all the City of Cerritos art ambassador at noontime. And yesterday, June 26th, our city manager, Christina, we attended the Cerritos Chambers of Commerce installation reception at the Cerritos Library. And the last item is please do not forget all the residents. We have 51st annual Lut Freedom Ring celebration on Thursday, July 4th. Please attend. It'll be a great time. And all the information is on our website, right? Okay. With that, do we have a closed session, Mr. Erkey?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight we have 3 closed session items on the agenda. Items 12A and 12B are a conference with labor negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency negotiators are Robert A. Lopez, City Manager, Patricia Leyva, Personnel Risk Manager, and Joseph Larson of the City Attorney's Office. For item 12A, the employee organization is AFSCME Local 619, and item 12B is for unrepresented employees, full-time exempt. Item 12C is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.8. The property is located at 16601 Valley View Avenue in Cerritos. Agency negotiators are Robert A. Lopez, City Manager, Kristen Aguila, Director of Community Development, and Bill Erkey, the City Attorney. Negotiating parties, California Department of Transportation, and under negotiation are price and terms of payment. And with that, you can you can recess to close session.
Okay, I will close to recess, and I would really appreciate council. We can directly go to the closed session. Thank you.